From the top of the town at 715 Main Street in historic Deadwood, it's time for another episode of the DTC Blow and Smoke Podcast. Hello and welcome to episode 46 of the Deadwood Tobacco Company Blow and Smoke Podcast. Joining me today are the preacher, Ethan. He's right over there behind the board, mixing and mastering and making everything sound delightful. And back from vacation. We'll talk a little bit more about that later. Everybody say hello to Stash.
Good evening, afternoon, whatever it is in your time zone you happen to be listening in. It's good to be back.
That's very professional. It's about 1 o'clock in the afternoon here, but it's not going to stop us from drinking beer.
No.
Because this is the beer episode. Full disclosure, we tried for about 6 weeks to get representatives from each of the 3 distributing companies that we use. We also carry some local beers that are self-distributed, and due to the holidays and various other things, none of those sons of bitches were available.
Of course not.
So Joe, Jesse, and Tim, you're all on my shit list. We're still going to buy beer because we have to. You're the only place that has it.
I was going to say, like, we got a choice.
Yeah, the matter. Exactly. We will try to get those guys back sometime in the spring and talk about some new releases, get us all set up for the summertime season, that type of thing. So this episode is going to be mostly about beer. We're going to talk about the beers that we carry, some of our successes that we've had in the first year in the new shop, some beers that just did not work for one reason or the other, talk about our personal favorites, and filling in. We went to the bullpen, and we got the closer, since the local guys weren't available. Joining us a little bit later, all the way from the outskirts of Minneapolis, Minnesota, is the Jolly Ginger Giant, Michael Maxwell from Shiner Beer himself, will be here in just a little bit.
Nice.
But first, Stash, you know how we start every podcast?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it's been a long time. He's been on vacation. What are we smoking? Stash, we'll start with you. What are you smoking today?
Right now I'm smoking an Aurora Dark Toro. Very good flavors, just a good all-around stick. It's not too heavy on me. I'm a wuss when it comes to a lot of cigars. As people know, I usually smoke a lot of Connecticut's, a lot of Corojos. That's about it. I don't usually get into the big Maduros, but this is one of them I can actually get into and enjoy. And
as we heard from Christian Arroyo himself, that is his, not that size. He likes the Robusto, but the Arroyo Dark is his go-to cigar. Ethan, what'd you grab today?
I've got the Arroyo First 20 Colorado, and I filled up my Shiner mug with some Shiner Black to go along with it.
Very, very nice.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
That's doubling up on the Arroyo. Not me. Today I went with something that we're running out of in the humidor, and it's only because it's an allocated product from 2019. I am smoking the Illusione Singolare 2019 Seven Horns. It's a Nicaraguan Puro. I read a few reviews on it before I light it up, and I think that's kind of impacting my palate. There's a lot of stuff where they talk about it's got a hint of Ritz crackers and burnt toast, leather and cedar. It's a really good stick. It's medium bodied, but yeah, I get just a lot of real clean, pure tobacco without a lot of accents. At least that's what I'm figuring out.
Burnt toast. That's going to be one we'll have to put on our agenda of things, because it used to be always cocoa. It's always got a hint of cocoa and leather notes. Now we're going to be like, it's burnt toast with a slight leftover bathroom kind of feeling after you walk into a truck stop bathroom.
I don't think we can sell any of that.
Well, I'm just saying.
Yeah. And what beer did you go with today, Stash, to pair with your Arroyo Dark?
Believe it or not, I just got a standard Shiner Bock.
There you go.
Very good lager that goes good with just about any cigar. You can go from Connecticut all the way up to Stupid Dark, and it just sort of melds good with all the different lines of cigars, at least with my palate.
Very good.
So,
And I went with, from Global Distributing, from Fair State Cooperative outside of Minneapolis, Big Doinks, which is their IPA. It's not too high on the ABV. It's only about 6.5%. I also have a second beer that I'm going to crack when I get about halfway through the cigar, but I'm going to start with the IPA. Tough to pair with cigars because IPA has that natural hoppiness, the bitterness, and to find a cigar that will complement that, generally I find you have to go with a real light Connecticut because if you do anything dark or anything with spice, it fights pretty hard.
yeah.
We'll keep it nice and simple on this one. So that is what we are smoking and drinking. More on the beer in just a little bit. But first, Stash is back. Tell us a little bit about your vacation with the shipping bitch.
So Consuela, or a.k.a. the shipping biatch, took off, and we left on the 12th of December before the winter white wonderful weather has rolled in here, and we headed off down towards Pensacola, Florida. Drug the camper, took off. We stopped in, where the hell was it we stopped? Oh, yeah, Memphis, Tennessee there. So we did the Elvis tour, playing the old touristy off-season, which is great because there was only a handful of people in there at the time.
Sure.
So shot through the mansion, went through all his stuff, saw all his uniforms, his bikes, his cars, the jungle room over there at the mansion and everything else, the old 70s TVs, saw the airplanes, and then we stayed the rest of that night.
Did you take a shit on the crapper?
No, they wouldn't let us go up there and actually on the second floor because there's still active people living in the house still.
Really?
So, yep. It's Priscilla Presley's one of the kids because that's who it's just been passed down as everybody dies off. They keep passing it down.
Sure.
So saw all that. There's still some active people that live in the house upstairs, and of course they're not just going to let you go, take a picture of that.
Because that would be the one thing that I would want the picture of.
Yes, everybody and their brother would.
Yep. I might even drop trow and sit just for fun.
Yep. And so we went from there. We took off, shot down to Pensacola, but before then we stopped in Tupelo, Mississippi, which was where Elvis was born.
Sure.
So we actually saw his little shotgun house, and I mean by shotgun, it's a little 2-bedroom house. Smaller than a single wide trailer basically, and we saw that, went through a little museum, and then we shot on down to Pensacola where Christmas Day it was a horrible 73 degrees. It was bad. The beach was sandy and horrible. Just don't go.
It's always weird, isn't it, doing Christmas when it's 70 degrees outside?
But we did
for loop.
Yeah, it was definitely, different for us. But we did do the traditional Christmas story Christmas. We had Chinese food for Christmas dinner. So,
all right. Well, there you go.
So we did that. We toasted that morning with some pigs in the blanket we made in the camper, and along with our moose mugs of mimosas. So we had the moose mugs from Christmas Vacation and followed it up by a Christmas story dinner. So
that doesn't sound like a bad Christmas at all.
No, it was fun. We ran around, went to a couple different beaches, went over by the USS Alabama, saw that. Then we took off and shot over to Baton Rouge, and we went to a plantation house. So you got to understand, my wife's never been south of Ohio, so this was all new stuff for her.
It's like a whole other country down there.
Yep. That Mason-Dixon line changes stuff.
She flipped out. We stopped at some just random gas station, and we're filling up, and she's walks in and about shit herself because there's a whole bunch of alligator heads in there, you could buy. She's like, "Are those real?" And I'm like, "Yeah."
Yeah, those aren't jackalopes.
No. They hunt the damn thing. So did that. We went to a plantation house, like I said. She got the tour of that. It was really cool because we were the only two there. I mean, like I said, off season, some of the best times to go do some of this stuff. So we did that, and then we shot off back over Baton Rouge. We sort of poked our way back home, and then came home to 2.5 foot of snow on the ground, and I had to shovel my way up to the damn steps. So
perfect.
Yeehaw.
So who's the Elvis fan? You, her, or both?
She grew up with it. Her parents listened to that. I listened to a lot of it when I was younger because my dad liked Elvis. So, and I've been to Tupelo before, but before, when I went to go to where he was born, you couldn't go in the house. It was just there. You'd stop, take a picture. Sure. They had a little sign out there, one of the historical marker signs, and that was pretty much it. So it was sort of cool to get the whole experience of going through there. Oh, and she stopped at a Buc-ee's too.
Yeah, the Buc-ee's.
Yep, she had to go to the Buc-ee's. She's like, how many gas pumps are here? And I'm like, I don't know, 150. Goes in there, gets lost in there, going after all the Buc-ee stuff. So she had to get some Buc-ee earrings and a little stuffed Buc-ee and
perfect.
All the junk that goes with that. So.
Did you make it to New Orleans?
No, we did not. We were planning on it, and I was looking up places to park, and it was, I'm not a big one on the Google reviews, or any kind of review site, but when you start looking at reviews and they're showing pictures of broken glass and catalytic converter stolen, and I'm like, we'll wait on this one. Maybe not TPE, but PCA here in a year or two. I'll fly her out on my dime and
there you
stay
go.
At the hotel, and then we could do it while we're down there for something else.
I think that's the one that I was fortunate to go last year to PCA because you weren't able to make it. I think there might be a fist fight for who gets to go to New Orleans. I think we might have to close the shop for 3 days.
Yeah, that would be.
Ethan, do you have interest in New Orleans?
I've been to New Orleans. It's all right.
I mean, I've been there a couple times myself. I'd been there for Mardi Gras, which I do. I mean, it's like Raleigh, right?
Yeah.
You go to Raleigh.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, there's tons of bikes, tons of stuff going on. Been there, done that.
Yep.
But most people that live around here know you don't ride during Raleigh. It's not something you do. And Mardi Gras is the one thing to go see one time. Then after that, it's like, okay. I usually like going down for St. Patty's Day. It's actually same deal, big floats, bunch of beads and stuff getting flashed and this and that. But it's not the crowds. You don't have humongous crowds like you do during
you always,
during that.
In your mind, you have this huge picture of Bourbon Street, and it's smaller than you think.
Oh, yeah.
It's a very narrow street. It's actually narrower than Main Street here in Deadwood is, and it's also got a unique smell if you're not used to that.
What would that smell be? Urine, vomit,
Those
weed.
sewers back up down there. You know
Right.
what I'm saying?
Yep. When your water table's friggin' zero.
Yep.
So, yep.
Wow. Well, that'll be fun. Did you have any family down there for this trip, or you just wanted to get out of the cold?
Nope. Just decided that was our time for vacation. We took off. So that was just the rat dog, the 6-pound rat dog, the wife, me, and Logan, my African gray. So
We had to get some pictures of you in the RV, man.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I got a couple of pictures of the camper at least, and that I can throw up here.
Yeah. Well, speaking of Christmas vacation, we'll have you do the Randy Quaid shitters full pose.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I'll do that. Yeah. I got a robe. I got several robes. We can make this work. I even got the hat.
Perfect.
So we're good.
Well, welcome back, and I know you kick rocks here in a couple of days anyway. So hardest working man at Deadwood Tobacco. Three shifts in 3 months.
Yep. Pretty much on my way down to King of the Hammers. So anybody that doesn't know what that is, that's a big thing out in Johnson Valley, BLM land. It's a town of 0 pretty much during the year, and then for 3 weeks they build a town, and it turns into about 120,000 people out there. So
Jeez.
Rock crawling, the big trophy trucks are out there, desert racing. You've got just people that build great big LS1 side by sides and go racing up the rocks and across the desert. So it's a good time. If you like drinking beer and smoking cigars and drinking a lot more beer and shooting fireworks off across at each other, and it's a good time.
Perfect.
So, yeah.
And you're joining Mr. Motherfucker down there, right?
Yep. Mr. Motherfucker will be down there with me, and we're gonna hang out there for a couple, 2-3 weeks, and then I'll roll back and get back into the groove of things just in time for Mardi Gras.
Ah, very nice. Which is coming up in February. Deadwood does Mardi Gras. This year it's 1 week before the actual Mardi Gras because Mardi Gras falls in conjunction with Valentine's Day and a bunch of other stuff. So you don't want to overload the 1 weekend. More details on that. A couple other quick shop notes. We're switching up the music here at Deadwood Tobacco Company. Always have been blues-based. We've experimented with some fun stuff over the last 11 months, and we'll keep doing that. During this time of the year when it's a little bit slower, we're going to feature some of our great local and regional singer-songwriters. We had Marty Nelson in here. We've got Chris Graves. We've got Heath Johnson. We've got Lonesome Jones and a bunch of others. I'm sorry, I can't remember everybody off the top of my head. I didn't bring the list in. But it's going to be a fun way to spend a quiet evening here, have a cigar, have some delicious Shiner beer. All the live music at Deadwood Tobacco Company, brought to you by Shiner Beer. So we'll talk to Maxwell about that as well. So keep a lookout on all the socials for the details of who's playing when. We do have some big bands lined up as well for Mardi Gras, St. Patrick's Day, that type of thing. So just be on the lookout for all that fun stuff. And let's see what else is on my list. Oh, my next note. It's cold as shit.
Yeah.
After you talk about New Orleans and Pensacola, wherever you were, it was a chilly one. We made it through. Red Dirt Weekend was this past weekend, and it was a good time. You know, it maybe not as many people as we had hoped if it weren't 13 below for the high.
Wind chill warnings were at 50 below.
Yeah. So we had a really, really soft last quarter, so it wasn't such a bad thing. So, and then in podcast news, we've been working on something for a little while. Stash, do you know who Bert Kreischer is? He's a comedian. You familiar?
Oh, yeah.
You familiar?
Okay,
The machine guy.
Took
that
me
always,
a second. Yeah.
Always takes his shirt off. That kind of stuff.
Yep.
Ethan, you know who he is, right?
Yeah. It took me a minute. I'm sitting there going, okay, well, let me narrow this one down.
So we have kind of like a 7 degrees of Kevin Bacon thing going on here. Because he's good buddies with Joe Rogan, obviously. He does a lot of stuff on his podcast, and he smokes cigars. He's an honest, real cigar smoker. I've been following him for a couple years, tried to get some tickets to a couple shows, never works out. Hey, Bert, why don't the fuck you come to South Dakota, you know? It's not like we're nothing here. We got a town of 80,000. You probably, sell out that arena. Yeah. So he's going to be next door in Casper, Wyoming, February 1st. So we sent a little care package to his people.
Fuck's in Casper, Wyoming?
The Ford Center. It's a big arena in Casper, yeah. 10,000 seats, something like that.
There's nothing else in Casper. That's it.
Well, Bert's going to be there.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
that's
February
cool.
1st. So we're working some angles, trying to get over there because Nick Melillo, who we had on, and you'll hear from here in just a little bit, did some cigars for Joe Rogan, and I sent him one of those in a care package with a hat and some other fun stuff, and basically going to beg, plead, cry, bribe, kidnap, maybe short of kidnapping, to see if we can go out there in February and record some stuff for the podcast. So that's kind of it's kind of our white whale, is out there only because he's close, man. No one comes around here this time of year. So,
well, and taking the show on the road, that's a whole different deal.
Yep, and we've reached out to Casper Cigar Company. Wild Bill has a connection there, so we've an open invitation if Bert wants to come sit down, and told him we keep it short, 10, 15 minutes, talk smokes, do it at the venue, do it at the store. And then selfishly, of course, we'd have to stay overnight and watch the show. I mean, that's the only way to do it.
Yeah, why not?
It's a long drive, man.
You can't drive all the way there and back in one day. It'd be worthless.
Waste of time.
Yeah, so we'll keep you posted if anything develops out of that. Obviously, if it happens, you'll see it because we'll pimp the shit out of it. Right, Ethan?
We'll take some pictures with our shirts off and stuff like that.
Well, feel free.
No. Everybody be blind.
Yeah,
I can't see.
Yeah, pretty much. We would be the milk toast. Well, if we bring the kid with us, he'll blind everybody.
He's worse.
Look at that 6-foot snowdrift right there.
Yeah.
It's the key to looking good, man. Just find the ugly guy and
stand next to him. Mm-hmm. Perfect. We got some more fun events coming up. Canine Keg Pull is going to be right across the street the last weekend of January. We are dog friendly. We will have clean water dishes out. We'll have a place so you can warm up and have a cigar and a beer and have your pup get a little bit of rest as well.
If it's anything like last year, they will need to definitely warm up because it was a cold one last year.
Absolutely. And then Mardi Gras, we just talked about it briefly. That's coming up. We are partnering for the first time since I've been here with La Aurora Cigars. Yep. They were nice enough to contribute to our whiskey pairing that we did with the Social Club Saloon number 10. Yep. So we will have John, I believe, is who will be in from La Aurora. Mm-hmm. Sawyer Beer will be here as well for that one. And then, of course, St. Patrick's Weekend on the way in March with Shiner, Shorty, CLE, and I believe that's going to be, I'm sorry, that's not, that's who it is. Yeah. And we've got our chamber mixer February 8th, right in time for Mardi Gras. So it may be the dead of winter, but before we know it, we will be
right back in the thick of things again.
Balls deep with events.
Oh, yeah.
So coming up in just a little bit, Michael Maxwell from Shiner Beer is going to join us. We'll talk a little bit more about pairing cigars, talk about what's coming in 2024 in the beer industry. We'll recap our best sellers, our hits and misses from 2023 here at the shop. But first, we're going to do a little bit of a quick smoke with Foundation founder and owner, Mr. Nick Melillo, right after this.
All right.
And now it is time for a quick smoke with, this time featuring from Foundation Cigars, Mr. Nick Melillo. Nick, how you doing today?
Doing well. Randy, good to be here.
Awesome. This is real simple. 3 questions we ask everybody we have on. Number 1, from your lines, what is your go-to cigar, last one ever?
last one ever. Like if
last
it's
cigar
the only
here?
one I could. Man, if I gotta choose, if I have to choose, the Tabernacle Toro, definitely.
Yeah.
My guys are heading out. I'm just saying goodbye. So Tabernacle Toro, yeah.
Tabernacle Toro. And why that one?
Yeah. I just love personally, again, this is if I'm forced to choose. I generally am switching constantly. So every week I'm kind of, going in on a different box, because I like different things. Of course, it depends on the time of the day and all that good stuff. But Tabernacle for me, just a combination between Connecticut broadleaf and Nicaraguan filler tobaccos. I think just that combination between the strength, the complexity of really heavy Nicaraguan filler tobaccos and that sweet, earthy Connecticut broadleaf, it's a match made in heaven for me when it comes to cigars. I mean, it's just got everything you want.
Wonderful.
Flavor,
Yep.
Just flavor, body. But again, the balance is crucial, right? That's very crucial for me because I don't want an experience where it's ripping apart my palate or I can't taste anything. So making them all able to work together is crucial, and I think that cigar just delivers on every level.
All right. Very good. Number 2. What is your holy grail cigar? Something out there maybe it's discontinued, can't make it anymore, super expensive, you've only heard about. What's your holy grail cigar out there?
Well, one of my holy grail cigars is going to be very odd. Puros Indios number 2 torpedoes, but only from 1996.
I have not heard that
Or
cigar in a long time.
So Puros Indios in 1995-96, Tom Selleck issue of Cigar Aficionado, December 96, was rated. It was rated the same as Opus X 2 Torpedo and Monte Cristo number 2 Torpedo.
Wow.
It was one of the most amazing cigars I've ever smoked, and it was Rolando Reyes, a Honduran, Cuban manufacturer, and that year it was just. I can't even. It was just so much going on in that cigar, and then after that, there was a lot of things that just fell apart for them.
Sure.
And the tobacco side, they weren't able to get the same tobacco, and the cigar just completely changed. I think there's 2 companies that actually re-released the Puros Indios recently. I want to say it was Oliva and maybe Pepin, but specifically that cigar, I always look for it. People, it's a tough one.
Oh, I bet.
It's a tough one to find, but that cigar always stands out in my mind. I was smoking that walking down the high school graduation line. I had gotten 2 of my buddies these cigars. At that time, they were impossible to find, and they were expensive. They were like 15, 20, for a high school student,
Sure.
Spending that money was a lot. We're walking down the high school graduation line. The vice principal comes out of nowhere, grabs the 2 cigars out of my friend's mouth and steps on them.
No.
And then she was coming at me. You guys saw The Matrix. I dodged her like The Matrix. It was like me. And I said, "You're not touching this cigar right now." And my father saw everything happening, and he came out of nowhere and said, "Why are you bothering these guys? They're just having a cigar. They're done with school. Why don't you go focus on, all these kids doing drugs and they got, and then I just kept walking, and that was it. But that, I'll never forget that cigar.
Very nice. That's the best story we've had on this so far.
Yeah.
And then last but not least, a pretty simple one. You could have a cigar or a glass of your favorite beverage with anyone, dead or alive. Who would you like to smoke with?
Man, my grandfather, Pasquale. So he passed away when I was 15. My other grandfather, Pegnatero, he passed away actually in 2020. He was 94. But Pasquale, I was 15 when he passed away. And he was the Connecticut. He smoked Connecticut broadleaf extra oscuro. Topstones was one of his favorite cigars. And I never got to, at 15, It was just before I started really getting into cigars. So if I had to choose, to be able to sit and smoke with him would be pretty amazing.
Awesome. Well, there
And
it
then
is.
maybe I'd say Rogan after that. Maybe.
I think the way things are going, the second one might be doable. All right,
You
that
never
is.
know. You never know.
It's been a quick smoke with Nick Melillo from Foundation Cigars. Thanks very much, Nick. And of course, you can get Foundation products in the humidor here at Deadwood Tobacco Company. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you soon. Welcome back, episode 46, Deadwood Tobacco Company Blow and Smoke Podcast. That was a quick smoke with Nick Melillo from Foundation Cigars. We got a few of those in the can. We'll send out the next few episodes, and we'll record more as people come in and enjoy delicious cigars, including our next guest when he next graces the bar here at Deadwood Tobacco Company, 715 Main Street. Everybody say hello to Shiner Maxwell. It's Michael Maxwell, everybody. What's happening, buddy?
What's up, guys? Good to be back with you, even if it's not in person. I always enjoy the company of the DTC crew.
Wonderful.
Good.
And you can join us in giving shit to Jesse and Joe and Tim. All of our local guys could not come on the podcast.
Well, Jesse's just a little bitch, so
He even offered me, and I like the people at his company. They're very, very cool people. He's like, well, if I can't do it, how about so and so and so and so? And I was like, no, I need you because I'm going to make fun of you.
Yeah. Right.
And we'll get him on later on. We'll have it in the springtime. If you're a stranger to the podcast, which you should not be at this point in time, Michael Maxwell is with Shiner Beer. He is a good friend of all things Deadwood Tobacco Company, comes into the shop multiple times a year, spends, well, I don't know, 2.5 weeks a year, probably total out here?
Yeah, at least.
at least, yeah, 6 events. One of those events is a full week for rally.
Yep.
And then 4 days for the other 5 events. So 27 days.
Yeah.
So almost a month.
Very cool.
Nice.
Yeah. And this is...
And that's all with Deadwood Tobacco.
Yes.
That's, I come out to Rapid City for some other stuff with Quality Brands and Jesse, but 27 days with Deadwood Tobacco.
Absolutely. And we sell a ton of Shiner beer because of your involvement and the willingness to interact with the customers. And one of the things that you do that not a lot of the other people in the beer industry do is you pair our cigars with the brands that you represent from Shiner. What got you thinking about how to do that?
Well, you know, one of my favorite things to do with beer, because I've been selling beer exclusively beer for 12 years now. And it has become more common, but originally it wasn't common to have a fancy dinner with beer. All your fancy dinners were with wine. Mm-hmm. And we tried to, it was kind of like right at the beginning of the craft boom, and we tried to teach people that you can pair beer just as well with food as wine, probably even better, because beer you can get so many more notes out of. I mean, wine, you're restricted to the notes you can get from the grapes. Mm-hmm. Beer, we can put whatever the hell we want in beer. We can do whatever we want with it. So I started out doing a lot of food and beer pairings years ago, and then I still am an extreme cigar novice. Like, I can barely pick out the notes. I can tell whether it's spicy and stuff, but not that much. So the staff at Deadwood Tobacco and the reps that come in are so well knowledgeable on the cigars that all I have to do is say what notes my beer has. And then they're like, oh, well, yeah, this, of course. I mean, that's the notes. Go with this one. That's the greatest. So, I mean, it's really a collaboration. It's not me. I wish it was me. I wish I was that good with picking notes and stuff out of cigars. And maybe one day I will be, but as of now, I am not. But it's nice to have that just knowledge of everything, where all I got to do is tell you what my beer tastes like, and you know which cigar to go well with. Yep. So we've done that with CLE, we've done that with Roja, we've done that with Asylum, we've done that with Crux, and we've done that with the DTC house brands.
And I think my personal favorite of the pairing is the Crux, just because I think it goes so well, because Tony's got 5 or 6 regular lines, and Shiner has typically a lot of other stuff too, but 5 or 6 regulars, and it's just perfectly matched. Like, oh, we got an aged Maduro over here on the Epicure line, and we've got now Shiner Black, which we'll get to in a second, and other Shiner products in the past, and it just works out tremendously well. Yeah.
Speaking of that aged Maduro,
Yeah.
There it
one of
is.
the ones,
There it is.
Yeah.
one of the ones I pulled out of the humidor because it is by far, I would say, my favorite Crux product.
Yeah.
I like several other products, but I love that. I also pulled out a nice CLE Habano.
Ah,
Very
nice
good.
Habano. Yeah.
Yep. Little
yep.
cedary, little spice on
Yeah.
the Habano.
Yep.
Nothing too crazy.
Yeah, I like that spice with the sea salt lime. That's why I like that, because that's also, and that's one where I like. It's a little bit familiar because that spice is one of the few things I can pick out of the cigar. When I pair that beer with food, I pair it with spicy shrimp.
Gotcha.
Because the acidity of the lime juice cuts into the spice from the shrimp. So it works the same way with a cigar. Sea salt lime goes great with any spicy cigar for that exact same reason.
Yeah, and I mean, you've got a couple cigars sitting in front of you. I'm sure you got a cutter and a lighter. Go ahead and just fire one up. What are you afraid of?
My wife.
That'll do it.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
right.
We can't let you go any further because we talked a little bit about it when you jumped on. Holy Legos behind you. What?
Yeah, you like that?
Yeah, you and your boy. That's your thing, huh?
Hell no. He doesn't touch those ones.
It's just you.
He doesn't touch those ones.
That's a special one.
Those are my adult only. Those are my adult only ones.
Yeah, that's quite the collection.
Yeah.
Oh God, I would
Imperial TIE
I'd
Fighter.
be embarrassed if I took you around the basement and showed you all the others. This is just
Yeah.
just the
Y-Wing
ones that fit on this
Fighter.
shelf.
We had a little side bet. We're like, what's going to be behind Maxwell when he logs on? And we
I
didn't.
bet nobody won this.
Nah.
Lego was not up there. Guns were up there. We're like, oh, he's
Yeah.
going to have all his guns behind him. But
I can't show off my guns on this podcast. People figure out where I live.
Can't do that. Nope.
Oh, so let's go through. We just did a quick pull. So these aren't full numbers. These are numbers from our new POS. So that'd be April through the end of the year. So you kind of know, including your brands, what we carry here at Deadwood Tobacco. So these numbers include bottles and taps. And for the entire year, most of them are variety specific. Sometimes things get lumped together with a certain manufacturer or something. But let's see if you can name what is or was for 2023 the number one selling beer at Deadwood Tobacco Company.
It's like
Yes. Yep.
Yep.
Figured.
it's the number one selling beer everywhere right now. I
Right.
mean,
And a lot of that had to do with
You mean Bud Light's not number one? What
exactly
the What?
Yeah, Bud Light's issues in the year. That made Joe smile. Joe is our Coors salesman.
Yeah.
you know, Coors Light had been climbing for a while, the way it was before the whole fiasco. I mean, you know, I'm former Budweiser, so I have my own feelings about the fiasco. But I will say the one thing that I do know is, you know, if you're tired of it, if you're not happy with that, you can only vote with your pocketbook, but it does affect more than the overall corporation. Because Quality Brands is fantastic.
Yeah.
And they are the distributor for Bud Light in that area. And their employees are great, and their employees are local. So, I mean, I'm not going to tell anybody one way or the other on it. Just think about the whole scenario before.
Oh, I'll
Coors
tell.
Light's been growing for years. So I actually attribute it to, even though they dropped the NFL sponsorship probably 10, 12 years ago now, they like that was they had it for so long, like when we were growing up. Like I still think of Coors Light as the beer of football when I see football, because that's what I grew up with my whole life. And so I think a lot of us, like now 40-year-olds, I mean, we're in that age where we like to sit back and enjoy our drinks, and especially on Sundays, and we grew up associating Coors Light with football. And in 20 years, when it's a new generation that Bud Light's been the sponsor of it, it'll probably change back. It's
I would
just
love,
how beer goes.
but Michael, I would love to hear your take on what is the disconnect. Do you just have someone in marketing who is they just do not understand their demographic, or what is the problem?
Can you repeat the question? I can't hear Ethan. I can like kind of hear him, but not really well.
Oh, he just wants to know, speaking of the Bud Light issue early in the year, what's the disconnect with a big company like that? Is it just a rogue person, or did they make a calculated mistake?
No, that's not a rogue person. I can tell you that much from working for them.
Right.
It's a I don't know, like societal's not the word. It's a mentality issue. When I was still with that company, they went on this big kick where they didn't want industry professionals anymore. They didn't want people who'd been selling beer their whole life. They actually tried to force as many of those people out of the company as they could. And they made this big push, called it SMT program, and they would go out to these Ivy League schools and try to get as many rich, pampered people who aren't actually a part of real life. They live in that 1% cloud, and they wanted them. And they fast tracked them into high up marketing positions and high up top level view positions. And so that top level isn't representative of the real people who drink their beer.
Exactly.
As you can tell that by the one girl who she's gone now, but she came out and she said, we don't want frat boys to drink our beer anymore.
Right.
Well, who do you think
So
drinks more?
interesting. Yeah, when you look at a picture, just from pictures alone, you look at her and you're like, I don't think you have any idea who your clientele is, right?
Yeah, they don't.
Yeah.
It's a complete disconnect.
Wow.
A complete disconnect. And I mean, I get what they were going for. The purpose that they wanted was they thought that getting those types of people meant they were getting incredibly intelligent people, and they are smart. But I've been selling beer for 12 years. You don't gotta be smart to sell beer. Like, I'm his case in point right here.
So, state police, anybody wanting to know, his license plate does not mean he's physically handicapped while driving. Okay, just let that one go.
I know I have to be so careful.
Yeah, there's your soundbite. There's your drop quote.
Yeah.
You don't have to be smart to sell beer.
Yep, exactly. I like it.
Speaking
I'm
of,
living proof. Living proof.
let's move down the list. So Coors Light, congratulations, Coors Light, number one. And we're happy, not to stereotype, but in this industry, behind the bar for a number of years, there's a certain clientele, and it's typically cowboys that come in. And that's the Coors Light brand locally. I mean, in our region.
In our region,
And we have a
yes,
number of events that cater to those with the rural lifestyle, and they're great to have in the shop, and they smoke cigars and they drink Coors Light, and there's nothing wrong with that. We enjoy them. But we enjoy something else. Dusty and Daisy. There you go.
Two of my favorite people, and they own a buffalo ranch. They're the shit.
Yep.
So this one, I think you'll get. What is the number 2 beer from Deadwood Tobacco Company?
Is it Light Blonde?
No.
Nope.
No, Bach?
Oh yeah, that
it's
one
Bach.
right there.
It's Bach.
Yeah.
I was back and forth because I know you just crush with bottles of Light Blonde, so I wasn't sure. So it was Bach.
Yep, Bach on tap, and a lot of this has to do with, because of our relationship with Michael, we have a continual stream, and there's never been an issue with supply and that type of thing. And of course, we always have it on because Shiner Beer is the sponsor of all live music happening at Deadwood Tobacco Company, and it was
Which is phenomenal, by the way. The live music at Deadwood Tobacco is just. You won't find anything else like it in the entire state of South Dakota.
Absolutely. It's been a great year. We did that in the Year in Review podcast a couple of podcasts ago, and I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I think it was like, I don't remember how many, 198 different days of live music out of 365. Well, take January away because we weren't even there. So out of 330, 2/3 of it we had live music in here. It was a great year, and we're only getting bigger and better. But Bach, Shiner Bach on tap is number 2, and then
I love that.
I'm probably guilty of probably 3/4 of that.
Wow,
I don't think yours go in the till.
that is true.
Yeah, a lot of them do. Now, let's not get carried away, but there is a lot that does not.
And it was fairly close. The gap between first and second is about 220 pints, so not bad at all. I mean.
And that just makes me so happy because, like we said, I'm there a lot. I'm there 27 days a year. But that's not me selling the beer. That's you guys being a great partner to me and pushing it. And that's also the demand. Like, people wouldn't come back and drink it again if they didn't like it. And so that's the best thing for me. Like, I don't want to sell somebody something they don't like. Sure. Like, I want it to actually be your favorite beer.
But at the same token, you also made it super easy to sell. So it was like you told us what it was, and like I was telling earlier on the podcast, I said Shiner Bach goes with just about any cigar. It can cover the whole genre of cigars and not have an issue. It's not going to overpower any certain cigar. It's that,
and it's not going to be so light that you lose your taste in your beer.
It works with me with almost every cigar I smoke, so it's a no-brainer for me.
And then we drop about 600 pints down to number 3. So you got 1 and 2 neck and neck. And then 3 and 4 are really close together. What do you think they might be?
Michelob Ultra for number 3?
Correct.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's almost like you're in the beer business.
Yeah, almost like you know what the hell's going on here.
So there's your first Bud product.
That's my, hey, would you like a glass of water instead? Because it's the same thing as Mich Ultra. Not knocking Mich Ultra drinkers, but... that's my usual spiel. If they order a Mich Ultra, I'm like, oh, you mean a glass of water? Sure.
Well, I mean, It used to be. I used to drink it probably the most when I worked for that company.
And I think
because I never drank Bud Light.
Right.
My thing was always, if I wanted flavor, I was going for a diesel. Like,
Yeah.
doesn't matter which big brew you're talking about.
Right.
I mean, your Budweiser, your Coors Yellow Jacket, your Miller Genuine Draft. You want flavor, you drink those.
right.
You want light, you drink Michelob Ultra, because if you're drinking light, you don't give a shit about the flavor.
Right.
So
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they were, at least in my recollection, they were either the first or the first major to highlight the 95 calories and go for that market. And I think
I agree completely.
They
Yep.
nailed it. So.
Yep.
I mean, they called themselves a diet beer originally.
Yeah. And then number 4 on the list, I'll give you a hint. It's not yours, and it's very close to number 3 on the list, and even closer to number 5 on the list. What do you think it is? Number 4, right under Ultra.
Right under Ultra.
Mr. Motherfucker.
Nope.
Oh, yeah. Well,
No.
that's his normal go-to.
Oh, is it? Okay.
And he's not here. It's his normal go-to.
LITE.
Yep.
Yep.
That's the next
That
one.
is higher. That's higher than I would have expected.
Yeah.
So
that-
good for them.
That had a nice bump. And then just a short 120 bottles down for number 5 is bottles is the key.
Light Blonde.
Yep. Exactly. So 2 out of the top 5, number 2 and number 5. And then we won't bore you with the rest of the list, but you have 9 of the top 20 for Deadwood Tobacco Company.
There you
So
go.
I love that because you guys aren't the small account.
no, and that's the
It's,
thing. The preacher was asking, can you disclose where Deadwood Tobacco falls in your territory as far as volume?
Number 1 in the state of South Dakota for on premise,
Still.
like for
Still.
bars. Number 1 in the state of South Dakota.
Good.
And number 2, I cover Minnesota North and South Dakota. Number 2.
Yeah, but that's that jackass.
yeah,
Dice
it's-
guy that
it's
has a
completely-
400
completely different.
seeding smoked.
It's
stuff
a music
and-
venue. Like,
Yeah.
like I know you guys are a music venue too, but this
Sure.
is like a 300 person patio. They back in a semi trailer, like
Right.
with the full rig and
Yep.
and everything type music
Yeah.
place. So, like technically you're both on premise, yes, but completely different category of type of place.
Right.
But
You can
still,
get food there, so it's a restaurant.
Right.
Like,
I have to underscore
not
the fact
not
that
fair to qualify on the same.
Sure.
Shiner Light Blonde is a slam dunk. And for people who have traditionally only drank domestic beer, they are. If you bring out a Shiner Light Blonde and you put it in front of them, it's not coming back, man. They love it. It's just a slam dunk.
Yeah, and I've swapped a lot of people over from that liked Ultra, that liked Miller Lite. I've got them over to Shiner Light Blondes. I'm like, hey, look at calorie count. If you're worried
It's
about
low
calorie
carb, low
count,
cal.
low carb, low cal, here you go. And it's I call it usually I say it's Mick Ultra, but has taste. That's exactly
Mick
what
Ultra
I
with
say.
flavor.
Yeah, that's exactly what I tell them. And
that's exactly what I say too. And it is really funny. Sometimes you get that person in there, usually a lady, but sometimes guys too. And they're like, I drink Mick Ultra because I don't like beer flavor. And so it's like,
yeah, there's a
okay,
couple
well you
that
got
have-
me on that
Yeah,
one.
there's a couple that have come
You
back
got
and
me
bit
there.
me in the ass, but for the most part, I can move it along pretty good. So
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's why it always comes back to the partnership. It's not me, it's you guys. It's you guys wanting to sell Shiner beers and believing in the brand as much as I do. That's why it works.
Yep. And absolutely, for a town of, the sign out front says 1,200, but we all know it's more like 800 full-time residents. Granted, we have that big tourist trade. We're happy to be the number one on-premise Shiner account in the state of South Dakota. So,
definitely.
yep. So make sure you can come on down and always get that on tap. Speaking of, what's one thing that's new for us that you and I have talked about for at least 4 years? My personal favorite Shiner product, the Bohemian Black Lager, is on tap. Has been for a couple of months now, and we are killing it. Killing it.
I have a surprise for you.
Oh.
I don't know if you'll be able to see it very well in the.
Oh.
Look at that.
Nice.
He 3D printed a tap handle for us. A black
So it's just
dragon.
the topper. Yep, we're gonna have to have I'm gonna have to have Stash take one of just those basic wooden handles
Yep.
and laser engraved dragon spit down the side of it.
Perfect.
We can do that.
But yeah, this will be. I'll put a screw down here in the bottom, and it'll mount right on top. One of those generic wooden handles.
That'll
Awesome.
be bad.
I still got some. I got some detail work to do, like painting the teeth and the eyes and stuff. But
Super cool.
No, that'll
Awesome.
be awesome.
yeah, it's.
Can't wait.
I am excited. Like you said, 4 years easy 4 years.
Uh-huh.
I've worked for Shiner for 6. And I mean, I obviously wasn't requesting it right away because I had to get my feet wet and everything. But it's just, I mean, just look at my company right now. Do you know what my seasonal is right now?
No.
Fucking peach wheat.
Oh, yeah. In the middle of January?
Yeah. Like, I mean, I can't complain too much because Texas is 80% of the company's sales. So we obviously have to cater to Texas.
Sure.
But peach wheat in January, it's going to be -1 as a high on Sunday.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
So now if I hadn't had Bohemian Black as an option on draft, I would have been pulling my hair out this year. So, it's such exciting for Deadwood Tobacco because we've been saying, I mean, you guys probably sold as many black lager bottles as the entire rest of my market did before it was on draft, because it's like Bach goes well with every cigar.
Yeah.
Bohemian Black goes not with every cigar, but the cigars that it goes good with is the best pairing by far.
Oh, yeah,
Bohemian Black goes so good.
Yep.
And so to finally be able to give that to you guys in draft is just
It's awesome.
like so excited. So excited. I still haven't had it yet. So
I just want to stick my mouth under the tap and pull it and just sit there.
yeah. I can bring my old style little keg pump out and we can do keg stands
There
in the
you
back.
go.
There you go. That's the plan. So for those who don't know, just tell them what is the style of Bohemian Black? What are the?
Yeah. So Bohemian Black, it pours a full, rich black, like cannot see through it, completely opaque. And the thing you got to understand with it though is it's Bohemian Black lager. Usually when people see a beer that color, they're used to thinking a stout, which is from the ale line, and that's your top break at the top of the pyramid. Like you got beer, then the very next level you break into an ale or a lager. Every beer is one of those two. Well, when you're doing your stout and your ales, those are your ones that typically get to be thick. And I'm not knocking it. I have hundreds of bottles of really good stouts in my collection right in the other room. But it's just a completely different drink style. When you want a stout, you want something rich and creamy and thick and like motor oil, basically. Well, you don't always want that from a dark beer, but you would like that flavor. So that's what the Bohemian Black is. It's a lager, which means that it's got the same mouthfeel as a Shiner Bach, as our typical Bach. And so it's not thick, it's not heavy.
No.
What we do though is we use something called black patent malts, and black patent malts are a chocolate malt. There's no actual chocolate. It's just a style of malt that has chocolate notes, and they are roasted like coffee beans. So you get a lot of notes of chocolate and roasted coffee from the beer. There's no actual chocolate or coffee in the beer. So you get those big, heavy chocolate roasted, just delicious aroma right up front from the beer, and then a clean, smooth, light finish, just like you expect from any other Shiner beer.
Yep.
Because it's a lager.
It's an easy mover. I mean, it's because I'll give them a little, your little sample glasses there that luckily sponsored by Shiner. little sample glass. I'll say, look, you don't want a heavy, muddy, I call it muddy beer, like a heavy, thick beer. Try this. And I give them a little shot of it, and they're like, wow, this is actually, and I'm like, yeah, it's a dark beer, but it doesn't have that kick that you're thinking from a stout. Why do I have
It's a seasonality thing too. Like I love my Russian Imperial stouts, my barrel aged stouts, but I don't drink them when it's 95 degrees outside.
Right.
And a lot of the tourism to Deadwood Tobacco is March to October when it's warmer out. So you still get all that full flavor of the stouts, but without that big heavy feel of weighing you down when it's 95, 110 degrees outside on the street.
Very true.
Awesome. So make sure you come in and check that out. And so the brewery has committed to that line permanently in kegs, correct?
As of right now, yep.
Okay,
right.
That's a very, very political answer. Look at the smile.
As of right now,
He's like, God damn it! I carved this topper for the tap handle, so they better keep doing it.
Well, it'll be around for at least a year.
Okay.
But I have had other products that I absolutely loved that have gone away, so I can't say forever. But yes, as of right now, there's no plan to chop it. So
very good. Speaking of, what's coming down the pipeline in the Shiner world? What type of seasonals or experimentals? There was a Tex Hex IPA series that was out for a while that you had been kind enough to bring us some 12 packs to sample. What's next for Shiner?
Yeah, so we've got two new exciting launches from that Tex Hex series that you will probably see on draft later this year. One is a passion fruit IPA and one is a blood orange IPA. The most exciting thing that I have this year will be there for almost all of our events, which is incredibly exciting. We are doing a lemonade shandy,
Okay.
and it is absolutely delicious. Just a nice balance. I mean, it's not like full on half lemonade, half beer, but you definitely get a real strong lemonade flavor out of it. Nice, light, easy to drink. Just a great all around beer. I am stoked for it. Did you get to try it,
Yeah.
Randy?
Yep.
Yep.
Your best?
We got it.
Yep.
Oh yeah. We got to taste that. I was like, ooh, this is my good lawn mowing beer. And for people that are not from Deadwood, South Dakota, you got to understand, lawn mowing here is a whole different game. I have flat. I have 50 degree angle to go up for about 20 feet, and then I got flat again. So it's too steep for a riding mower, but I got to push mow this crap.
Yep.
And I'm 54. It sucks. And I usually do half my yard because my steps separate my yard. So I do half of it. I stop. And I usually go up and have a beer, sort of recover.
Only one?
Well, just the one, because then after I don't want to chop my foot off while I'm trying to mow the grass. So I do one, then I go over do the other half, and then I come up and sit down and have another 5-pack to finish out the 6-pack to make my day complete. So that's usually how my summer goes when I have to mow grass.
There
So
you go.
back
Sometimes you just want a summer
before I
shanty.
was lazy, when I used to cut my own grass, and this is before I worked for Shiner. I still worked at the liquor store at this time. We now have a beer that's year round that you guys are familiar with, Ruby Redbird.
Yeah.
But that was originally just a seasonal from Shiner, and that was my lawn mowing beer back in the day.
Ah, very good.
Nice.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, enough about beer. Let's get to the important subject. How big are the Chiefs going to win against the Dolphins?
They're going to lose.
Are you serious? Is this like
Oh,
a
God,
reverse psychology thing?
No, we were horrible this year. We were absolutely horrible. We barely won the worst division in the NFL. We're up against the Broncos, the Raiders, and the Chargers, and it came down to week 18 as to whether we were going to win the division or not. We don't have any receivers. We paid Chris Jones too much. Like, I get it. He's a great defender, but you can't pay him that much money because now you can have Mahomes. That's great.
Yep.
I don't think he's the greatest ever, but I do think he's the greatest to ever play for the Chiefs, and I think he is a fantastic quarterback.
Yes, he is.
But if he doesn't have anybody to throw to, what's the point of paying him money?
Well, you've got Mr. Swift. You can always throw to him. When
You can throw to him if he's not triple covered because they know we don't have any other receivers.
You've got receivers, they just don't have any hands. It must be a birth defect.
Exactly. Yeah.
That or he's too busy
Jesus.
staring up in the stands looking for somebody at the time. But
Well, that is unfortunate news since we live in a wagering town with sports books. I told my better half, who was a Niners fan, I was like, you know what? Don't bet against Pat Mahomes. I told her it's going to be a Niners Chiefs Super Bowl.
It's so the one I think it's going to be she will be happy to hear I think it's going to be Niners, but I think it's going to be Niners Ravens.
Yeah.
The Ravens defense is just sickening. And Lamar doesn't have to be a good quarterback to throw to those guys.
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, pretty
It's
much.
the opposite. It's the opposite of us. You get it anywhere within 10 feet of them, they're going to catch it. Because I do not think Lamar's a good throwing quarterback, but you bring in 4 of the best receivers in the league. Yeah, he's going to make some. He's going to make some throws.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Well, you got Pacheco.
That's who I think it'll be.
So
You got Pacheco.
Yep.
The weather might help.
I think it will.
Like it's going to take their long bomb game completely out of it, and because I think it's supposed to be like 5 degrees in Kansas City.
Last I
Which
checked,
is cold.
Yeah, last I checked,
That's cold for us.
and you just gross. Well, initially it was like sleety, snowy stuff, and now it's going to be bitterly cold. So that'll keep Tyreek from running down the sideline. So we'll see.
Yeah, Tyreek and Waddle will be in check. I love Pacheco. So if it turns into a ground game, it's because also the thing with their running backs is the only thing that makes them so special is they're incredibly fast.
Yep.
Well, if it's really cold and snowy, takes that out of the game. So
Yep.
they're not bruisers like Pacheco.
Well, I guess we will find out.
You forgot to ask me what I was drinking, Randy.
Oh shit!
Jesus.
I thought the surprise was the Dragon Head. All right.
You're supposed to be the damn host.
Michael Maxwell, as he referenced, has hundreds of bottles of stouts.
Oh, look at that. Nice.
All right. So immediately, I'm excited and pissed because
Batch number 3.
we don't have a liquor license.
Yeah.
So we can't sell that, but I can sure drink it. All right. Tell us about Shine or
There's a-
Shine.
There's a good chance it will never come to the state of South Dakota.
All right. Fair enough.
As of right now, it's not even sold anywhere in Texas other than our brewery because we built a distillery on the brewery.
Well, there's my next.
We
trip.
have,
I know where I'm
we
going
have
next.
moonshine, gin, and vodka, and we're aging our first whiskey right now. But it literally, so we went down for our national sales meeting in August, and the day that they scheduled the brewery trip, just because it happened with schedule and everything, was on a Sunday. We couldn't even fucking buy it ourselves because in Texas you can't sell liquor on a Sunday.
Oh no.
On a
So
Sunday,
we
you
were
can't
at the
sell it.
brewery and we could try it, but we couldn't even buy bottles for ourselves. I was lucky enough; my boss was down there a day early, and so he picked me up that bottle. But yeah, to be that close to it, because we can't. Texas is so crazy about liquor laws; like it's absolutely nuts. We have to measure like a 2-ounce sample. We have to measure and keep track of, like for TABC, if they were to come in and audit us. So there's no way that, like, even working for the company, like they can't send me a bottle of our liquors.
Wow.
Like you have to physically go to the distillery and buy it.
Jeez.
Yeah, no stores in Texas carry it. Nothing. It is only there. So
So show us that bottle again. How much is left?
All right. Look,
it's still pretty full.
I was gonna say.
Oh, okay,
It
yeah.
looked like it just got.
Okay.
It's still pretty. I just cracked it
Okay,
for
okay.
this because I got it in August and I've been waiting for a special occasion. So
There you go.
Very
Yeah.
good. Well, cheers. That's
Cheers, sir.
exciting. I did not.
so you'll definitely get to taste some.
Yeah, I didn't know they were branching out. That's cool.
Nice.
It has to do with the stupid Texas laws. This is a law most places, but once your brewery gets to a certain size, you can't have a tap room where people can come buy beer anymore.
Okay.
And we've been at that point for years. So people can come to our brewery and we can give you 3 free samples. But if you want more, you can't. Like you cannot have more beer. We can't sell it to you no matter the cost because of the size of our brewery. And that really pissed off our owner because when it comes to distilleries, there is no rule like that.
Right.
So he opened a distillery at the brewery, brought in like the best coppersmiths from Ireland. They built an entire distillery at our brewery. So now when you go to the brewery, you can have your 3 free sample beers and you can buy as many liquor drinks as you want.
Well, there you
Ah,
go.
very nice. So what's you say you just cracked it? What do you recommend? Straight mixing? What's your?
I'm just doing it straight, mainly because I'm just I don't drink a whole lot of any alcohol other than bourbon,
Gotcha.
and so I don't have anything to mix it with in my house.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Good enough.
Yeah. That'll work.
Yeah,
Milk.
our
tea,
gin was really good. Our gin was fantastic,
Ooh.
and I always do that with I do gin and tonics with a lime.
Yep.
Love it.
Not a gin guy. So.
Very cool. Well, make sure you check out everything DTC, Deadwood Tobacco, on all of the socials. We'll have all kinds of fun stuff up about everything we're going to be featuring. And as always, we want to say thank you very much, Michael, for the sponsorship for all of the live music here. I can't tell you how many comments we get. We have fun with that sign as well.
Yep.
Both of them. One is a marquee featuring the latest acts coming. The other one has a snarky saying every now and then. I think it's the one that Stash had on there for a long time was new place, same shitty attitude.
Yep.
So yeah, it works.
It works.
It
Why
does.
lie? I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I'm just because we're in a fancier new place doesn't mean I'm still not an asshole, and I'm always going to be an asshole. So
I think that's the reason people come, though.
Well,
Like,
yeah, that's
it's almost like Dick's Last Resort. Like,
right.
Yes.
If you're gonna go, if you get treated nice from Stash, you feel like you got robbed.
Yeah, something was way wrong if you got treated nice from me.
Yeah.
Especially if I have to work at night.
He must have been in a bad mood today. He was so nice.
What did Consuela do?
Yeah. I got laid that night. What happened?
No, thank you guys so much for everything you do. Like you said, 9 of the top 20 beers are Shiner. That's all DTC. I mean, it comes from the pairings. I mean, it's stuff that we've done, but it's you guys making sure people know that, knowing that if they're gonna smoke an Orojo or Epicure,
Yep.
Yeah.
that this is a beer that's going to go well with it. So it's the effort that you guys put into it that makes it work.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much. And then when will our customers get to see your smiling face?
Smiling.
Be there for St. Patrick's Day.
All right.
Yep.
Drunk Fest.
St.
Yay.
Patrick's Day with Michelle from CLE and my favorite leprechaun, Shorty Rossi.
Yep, absolutely. It's going to be a great time. We're still debating the kilt thing. I don't know if it's going to continue.
Kilt's going to happen.
All right.
Oh,
well,
yeah, I'll do the kilt for St. Patrick's Day.
Kilt's coming out on St. Patrick's Day.
All right. Well, never mind. I guess
I
I was
don't have to
debating.
wear it.
Fucking back off that real quick. Jesus.
I don't have to wear it on the other days anymore because it's not so blisteringly hot that I have to stand over a fan and air my balls.
Yep.
But St. Patrick's Day, like it's required.
Yeah, it's a
for St. Patrick's
requirement.
Day.
Yes. Yeah.
And I didn't spend $200 per kilt for those things. That's the most expensive friggin' piece of clothing besides military I've ever had in my life. So you're damn right I'm going to wear my
Well,
kilt.
and I think the kid still has Pierce's old pink one. So,
If he can put it a little lower below his nipples, that would look a little better. But we won't go down.
Or at least not sit there and twirl his
Yeah.
nipples while
Yes,
he's wearing it.
exactly.
right.
Yes.
Yeah.
And as your ginger brethren, he understands pink and red hair don't go together.
Yeah,
It's
no.
not a good
Not a
palette.
good combo. Horrible.
All right, everybody. That's Michael Maxwell, Shiner Beer. Make sure you check out all the Shiner products here at Deadwood Tobacco Company. He will see you for St. Patrick's Day and many, many more events. Be well. Give our love to your family. Looks like things are going really, really well for you, and congratulations on all of that. We'll get to see a new vehicle perhaps next time you're here. Fingers crossed. Nice. Very good. Stepping
Yeah,
up.
it should definitely be by the next time I'm there.
All right, okay.
I'm just fingers crossed for tomorrow. Otherwise, it might be early next week. So
Yeah, well.
Very good. Is it Kansas City Chief Red?
no, it's black.
Yeah, because with your name tag, your license plate on there, a red, no. That would be fucking horrible. You wouldn't get anywhere. It'd be like, I'll be there.
When I was
got
young,
pulled
yeah,
over
I drove
17
red sports
times.
cars.
Yeah.
Yeah. You learned the hard way.
My first 2 cars were red sports cars. I learned real quick.
Well, we won't give away
Not
your
red.
plate, but if you come to see us on St. Patrick's weekend, you can ask Michael himself what his license plate is.
Yeah. And,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's pretty easy to figure out.
Yep, exactly. The truck does not contain product. We'll put that on the side. US dot, not for hire.
Yeah, right?
All right, Michael, thanks very much. That's going to do it for episode number 46.
Thanks, guys.
Yep.
That is the Beer Podcast. We're thankful that Michael could join us on short notice back here for St. Patrick's Day. We've got a bunch of fun stuff coming up here at the venue inside of Deadwood Tobacco Company at 715 Main Street. Great live music coming up on the podcast. The women of DTC are returning here very, very shortly.
Oh, Jesus.
We're going to do the 50th episode live in the tobacco bar. We'll be on stage. We'll have live cameras set up, audience interaction, have some live music for that one as well. And the next one, episode 47, featuring our resident historian, Brad, we are talking about the history of cigars, in particular, in Deadwood and the Old West for about 150 years now. So make sure you tune in for that coming up in about a couple of weeks. That is it for us. Stash right here.
Hey, make sure you guys hit that smash, like, thumbs up, whatever the fuck button you got to hit to keep continuing shit on. Whatever that thing is you hit.
The absolute best, let's have the 54-year-old talk about social media.
Yeah.
That smash button, guys. Hit
Yeah,
that
smash
button.
something fucking. If you're not smashing her, smash the damn button at least, all right? Let's go with that.
And as always, behind the board, Ethan the Preacher for mixing, mastering, and putting this all together. My name is Candy Randy. Thanks, Michael Maxwell, everybody. We will see you next time. That's it. Episode 46, Deadwood Tobacco Company, Blow and Smoke Podcast.
In the books.
Get a beat, I kick it funky like